Last time we got a software update. This time we're gonna shut up, Murray.
Nicely done. You are one cool customer. Now you have the Omni software update needed to access the library door. I have set a new waypoint to lead you back to the atrium. Before going back to the atrium, I recommend unlocking a few Omni abilities at this terminal.
This is an extremely good idea, and not just because of the timing involved. We're about to see one of the game's most weirdly dickish moves.
Welcome to my domain.
We've nothing new to sell, but
See anything you like.
there's an ability we can only buy at this terminal, and we want to buy it at this terminal.
Maybe I'll press applications on the map.
Ping is passive. It's a straight upgrade. It requires no battery to use. It just works. The guard locations are now just on our map.
Leaving so soon.
And that rules. Now let's get out of here.
Locked. Let's find a way to open it.
Ignore the vent. There's stuff here. The map hasn't updated our objective yet, but we can range ahead. Speaking of range, you can see that ping is only showing us guards that are near us, so we're not omniscient. Anyway, the camera names refer to this room as a vault, and boy does it have treasure to plunder. We've got a newspaper, a whole bunch of money, what looks like a lapel pin, and the game's rarest and most valuable treasure.
Censorship AI to be updated, expanded. Profanity. An assault on young and old alike. Now that has gone too far. You can have my right to privacy. You can have my booze and caffeine and chocolate. But when you take away my right to curse a blue streak, you leave me with nothing to say. For once, in my job, I am absolutely speechless.
Republic is a rare example of a game that actually makes the bleeping out of swear words canonical. The sounds we, the player, hear are the sounds being recorded by the cameras, and the sounds being recorded by the cameras are duly being run through this amazing censorship AI.
Fake passports and foreign currency. The Overseer has an escape plan, even if the rest of us do not.
Note here the blue passport of the United States and the burgundy passport of the United Kingdom. Man, if anybody told Treglazov what Britain would do to itself over the colour of its passports, he'd probably actually believe it. He always was admirably cynical. Anyway, if this is his getaway stash, then what's it doing in a place that anyone can just walk into?
Mr. Treglazov, Vice Admiral Matthews of the Pacific Fleet.
Pacific? You're a long way from home, Admiral.
So are you, if I'm to believe the rumors. First time in Washington, sir?
Hardly. I was told General Karnofsky was heading up this project.
The general retired over the holidays. I'm overseeing now, from a military standpoint at least.
I see.
Apologies if I seem hurried. I have a meeting with the new superintendent of the Naval Academy at 1.
That's in 5 minutes.
Like I said.
Well, it's hardly enough time to pitch my vision.
So I've read over your evaluative study, and we've taken your recommendations into account.
Is this a joke to you?
Excuse me?
Your security, the security of your country, is at stake.
Now you listen here. I dedicate my life to the protection and security of the United States. If you think you have a better approach, we'll entertain it. But do not come in here and make threats.
I made no such thing.
And try to muscle some wildly expensive cryptographic software through the door.
You can pay today to prevent a catastrophe. Or you'll pay tomorrow to clean it up.
Okay, that's a threat. Right there. You get out of my office. Now! Hey, Dolores? Yes, lock the door behind behind him. I don't want to see Mr. Treglazov anywhere near this building again. You understand? What the hell? No, I'm here. No, he left, something on my desk. No, I don't think we need the bomb squad. It's a pin. It's just like a lapel pin.
Vice Admiral Matthews was there voiced by Richard Doyle, whose most notable game role before République would have been, I guess, Big Boss. Anyway, that was all fascinating, but let's go and claim our real prize.
A screwdriver. These are great for opening vents, but they are flimsy and will often break. Hopefully, there's more than one lying around.
Found a screwdriver.
That's right, folks. Screwdrivers are our small keys, and vents are like
Vent.
locked doors, as opposed to actual locked doors. Somehow,
Screwdriver broke.
screwdrivers break after one use. I don't even know where to start with that. Anyway, this guy's carrying a battery. That's probably the most interesting thing about him. This room isn't really supposed to be a challenge, but I managed to turn it into a showcase of both some great contextual stuff and my own idiocy. Let's get it on the road. Plan A is to pickpocket Mr. Tojima right there, but that quickly goes awry. So instead we just hide. Now, I'm not pressing any buttons right now, but watch what happens. Our precious, agency-imbued independent protagonist orbits around cover without being told to stay out of sight. It rules. This does not rule, though. Not only did I get impatient and get spotted and have to burn a pepper spray, I also didn't even notice that in all of that clusterfuck, we didn't even pickpocket the guy. It's going to be a little while before this occurs to me to check, so you're just going to have to live with this. Don't worry, we'll correct it real fast. Anyway, here's Ping, showing its worth. As we can see, the kitchen is awfully crowded. It's as if to say, hey, that level 1 door over there looks tempting, doesn't it? But let's not be fooled. There's reasons to come in here. First and foremost is our prize on the wall, the... wait. Well, okay. I think that guy is Mark Klink, who was the guard who was patrolling the girls' dining area earlier. He was irritating. I'm glad he's stuck in the floor. Anyway, this is the real reason we came here. We want to get ourselves a taser. Within seconds, the stars align, Vesley walks into the fridge, Groves turns away, and we get...
This is a taser model C2CW. It really packs a punch, and will render its target incapacitated for the night. Equip the taser as you would any item in the girl's inventory.
One of the Prizrak's tasers.
These things rule. Now, what to do about this guy? Well, if we don't make a run for it, we're going to be spotted anyway, so maybe we should just go for it.
Better raise the threat level.
Huh? Well, that answers that then, doesn't it?
Good idea. My battery was running low.
I swear I scanned that already.
If the girl needs to circumvent a room full of Prizrak, the vents are a good way to travel.
No, I just checked and I had not scanned that already. Oh well. Speaking of things I missed in this room the first time around.
Pepper spray here.
Hey, we got our top up after all. Anyway, we've now got our second equipable weapon. Third if you count pickpocket as a weapon. How are you doing there, Clink?
I'm following the subject.
Sure you are. Anyway, just think, we could have skipped all of that. But then we wouldn't have got our shiny tasers and I wouldn't have got to redeem myself for missing all of the stuff in that confinement room the first time around. And of course we'd never have gotten to see a guard stuck in the floor. Anyway, the game is now guiding us one room at a time out, and we can just about see the new doors on the map that we can unlock. Now let's take a look around this room. Yep, this is definitely where the floor guard came from. Looks like the coast is clear. Hope. Hope. Climb the fucking stairs, Hope. There we go. No happy disappearing act with this guy, though. Come on. There we go.
Thanks. You found me a good spot. I hope they can't see me here.
Threat level is returning to normal.
I'm a big fan of how Hope speaks directly to us, the invader, using her contraband phone while standing right behind a guard. I like it, it's nice. I also like how the threat level reset played exactly as we climbed into a pot plant. Anyway, the game is not subtle about wanting us to go through the other dorms. So I guess we might as well oblige it. We don't actually have to, but we're not spiteful. Here's a fun fact about unlocking doors. Unlocking doors, specifically doors, not lockboxes, is free in terms of power, but locking them will cost you. This is a fun fact for a couple of reasons. First of all, it means that you can't lock yourself into a room. That's good game design. Slightly more importantly, it means that you can lock guards in rooms. That's real fun. I don't know why they put this staircase here. We can't go up it. It's purely flavour.
The boys' side of the commissary. This is where wheat beats.
Nice, Hope. Anyway, here's what they feed these kids. It's a pretty okay menu, actually. Shame about the powdered milk, though. Are the eggs powdered too?
Why are they spying on the boys? Are they spying on us girls too?
This room raises some sharp questions about the setting. Most notably, why have they set up this little spy hole behind a fake menu when they have, you know, the cameras?
Though this email doesn't mention it, we all know it was the librarian that slipped those poisoned manifestos to the kids.
Mireille did seem pretty sure of that, didn't she? That said, if everybody knows this, then that probably doesn't bode very well for the librarian.
This is Central. Derringer's folks distributed the new allotment of tasers last night. With all the added precautions because of the arrival, he insisted they be stowed in the lockbox for safekeeping. Passcode is 4118. And watch your step. If you thought the old ones had a kick, you really don't want to be on the business end of one of these new models.
Total surveillance, real-time audio filtering, and they're still using 4-digit PIN codes. I don't even know. Anyway, here's a couple more tasers.
Taser?
Notably, we were able to pick those up. That's because we can carry a lot more tasers than we can pepper spray, for some reason. To make up for that, tasers are going to be a lot rarer outside the first episode than pepper spray, so it all balances out in the end. Now here's where I finally check the inventory and expect to see a new video game. And it finally dawns on me that we forgot to pickpocket Mr. Tojima. There's only one thing for it. We're gonna have to backtrack through the backtrack.
I've never been over here before. We're not allowed. The headmaster calls it separate spheres. I wonder if they feed us the same meals.
After everything else we've seen from this place, sex-segregated living quarters seems kind of boring. Speaking of boring, don't worry, I'm not actually going to make you watch all this backtracking in real time. I will begin the fast forward soon, but we're going to do one other thing. That's slightly novel at this point.
Going in for the attack.
And that's to show off the taser, just for the sake of it. That guy is now dead. Well, okay, he's not dead, but he's incapacitated for the remainder of the game. He's never getting back up. Canonically, he'll be fine tomorrow, but he's never going to bother us again. Oh, and look who got out of the floor. Well, whatever. Time to start skipping. Guys, I fricked it.
Help!
Anyway, let's do this properly this time. Okay, we got it? Good, we got it. Let's get back. Okay. For real this time.
This is an excellent dungeon crawler RPG. I can relate to the hero who was dropped deep underground and left to fight his way out. It was another successful Kickstarter game. What warmed my heart the most was the inspired pop synth music.
Never played it, but on PS4 this disc was Axiom Verge, a one-man developed Metroidvania triumph.
Pasternak, in the Soviet Union, wrote a book critical of the October Revolution. Can you think of anything more stupid? Beyond that, Zhivago and Laura cuckold a servant of the state, and Pasternak has the gall to ennoble their sin as a mystic union. The worst form of physical love, betrayal, is favored over the physical sacrifice of a soldier for his country. I despise freewheeling artists, librarian.
I calculate approximately a 10,000% chance that the headmaster's wife left him. Anyway, dorms.
Such a display of finality is premature, don't you think?
Derringer doesn't think so. Either that kid's long gone or he's a skeleton in a wall somewhere. Either way, leaving his stuff laying around will only be a distraction.
And this is not. You want our wards to focus on the arrival, and not the poison in those manifestos, correct? Then perhaps such a public celebration of the boy's ability to elude us is counterproductive, no?
A fascinating argument over administrative priorities, to be sure, but what I want to know is why this publicly viewable vacancy notice has a confidentiality boilerplate at the bottom of it. Those awfully loud footsteps you can hear are from a guard patrolling on the other side of this wall over in the girls' dorms. Like I said, the sound balancing choices in this game are a little bit strange sometimes. Now, that sure looks like something, doesn't it? But no. It's just flavour. Really though, there's not very much to the boys' dorms. For all the excitement of backtracking with our enhanced door opening skills, there's only really one room of any interest here. and it's a bathroom. It is of quite some interest though. And not just because of the slightly creepily placed camera, or even because of Mr. Public Rudity here. Even if he is carrying a screwdriver. If your medium-term memory is functioning, you might even remember why this bathroom is of interest.
Threat level is returning to normal.
Going in for the steal. Got it.
Remember the secret room between the two bathrooms? Well,
I'll hold on to this.
this time we've got what we need to get at it.
The screwdriver just broke.
Clear.
So, remember that email that was complaining that there was no camera feed in this room? Well, I'm not completely sure what's up with that, although I have a theory. We can also see that the room isn't shown on the map, although it's not exactly a huge mystery where it is, especially if you consider the locations of the vents. On the bottom right corner of the screen we can see the name of the camera we're inhabiting, and it's got a text emote in its name. And there's only one character in this whole game who we definitively know uses those. So maybe it's not such a mystery what happened to the camera feed from this room after all. One of the many goodies up for grabs here is this screwdriver, and if you're like some kind of moron, you can use it to unlock that vent and access the girls' bathroom. We're not going to do that though. There's plenty of interest in here.
This old school boombox is ideal for playing back any audio cassettes the girl finds.
The game expects us to periodically come back here and listen to new tapes we find. That's kind of a pain though, so I'm going to be posting them in the thread instead.
Zager's altered manifesto was still a work in progress at the time of his death.
Written in red at the bottom of that third page is a link to killyourinternet.com, the site of an ARG run by Camouflage for the launch of the Steam and PS4 versions of the game. It was pretty cool. Anyway, these are all actual pages from the real manifesto, which, again, is pretty cool.
Zager called this photo the perfect metaphor for our times.
I'm not sure who thought all of this redaction would be worth the effort. I mean, this is only one of the most famous photographs ever taken.
The first photograph Zager ever took. There's an interesting story behind it. He told of it in his version of the manifesto.
This is absolutely true. He threw a brick through a church window and took a photo of it, and his school guidance counselor was so impressed by the photo that he convinced a trial judge not to send Zager to prison.
Zager was always inspired by uprisings. He hoped to inspire those inside Metamorphosis to rise up in similar fashion.
It's still very much up for interpretation whether or not Zager is really cut out for the revolutionary hero business. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to have been given a choice in the matter. Anyway, we could stand here for literally 15 minutes listening to David Hazer talk, and that would be great, but it wouldn't make for a particularly great video, so as I said, I'm going to record those separately and post them in the thread for you to listen to at your leisure. Instead, here's more media.
Half turn-based RPG, half Viking soap opera, the Banner Saga really has no business existing, which is why it warms my cold gamer heart that my fellow gamers kickstarted this game into existence. The team at Stoic delivered on their ambitious promises, and helped prove that us gamers can spot a hot new IP even when big publishers cannot.
You say that, Cooper. And yet, Mighty Number 9. Anyway, that's all from here. So let's just get back to where we were going. And just like that, we emerge right back into the lobby. Sure is a good thing we didn't run right into that guard. Again. You may recall there was a little lobby outside Murray's room. It was locked by a level 1 door, which we can now get past.
P0 here.
So let's do that.
Huh?
Oh, come on.
No use hiding.
The good news is he didn't actually properly see us, so we can bullshit him around and be fine. See? Nothing here. He's gone right back to his usual patrol route, and he's looking the other way, so let's just get out. After all that, there's really only one thing that we can get by coming in here, and that's a book. We still haven't found a way to get hold of a voice print, but I'm sure one will oblige.
Voltaire suffers from the core flaw of satire. He manifests the very villainy he intends to lampoon. Do we want the women in our République to believe themselves currency in Voltaire's economy of sexual exchange? Intended or no, this preserves ancient viciousness against women, and would justifiably lead half our citizens into unproductive rage. Customs agents across Europe once refused Candide passage. We must persevere where they have relaxed.
The headmaster is kind of, almost, sort of, onto a bit of a point here about satire. There are, in my estimation, far too many people who are able to trivially brush aside saying the worst things, simply by claiming it to have been satire, and who disregard the real harm that's done by this being misinterpreted. Voltaire personally described Candide as being intended to bring amusement to a small number of men of wit. I'm not really up on my literary history, so I don't know if it was particularly widely misinterpreted or if any actual harm arose because of it. But it could have, I guess. Anyway, we're back here, and this time we have the level 1 keycard. So to speak. The fact that bears some emphasis. You can hear the sound of raindrops on this screen. And if you look up, you will see literally the only skylight we have seen in the entire game up to this point. Anyway, here's our objective, at last. We made it. It's right back in the investigation sector again. I don't know why they made such a big deal of that one door in the atrium and not, you know, the other level 1 door that leads right here, but yeah, whatever, video games. The atrium was a pretty apt stopping point, really.
Oh no. And we're so close. There's too many of them.
This is the closest we'll ever get to being able to pickpocket Clark and Mackenzie. And there's another guy over here whose passport we can't see yet. But fortunately we can still jump around. And here we are. There's plenty to see in here, so we might as well start with... This man was a community manager for Infinity Ward back during the time when Call of Duty was actually good. And also before they had that little falling out with Activision over bonuses and then everybody left to go and work on Titanfall. That was a fun couple of years.
Body scanners do not cause cancer. Metamorphosis doctors say fears unfounded. That's a good strong headline. Go print it before we're told otherwise. Say, which do you think would rile the citizens more? The fact that these machines do indeed cause cancer, or the fact that the naked images they capture are being turned into playing cards for the perverse amusement of the Prizrak?
I'm all in favour of commentary on real-world issues, but every now and then you come across something that just seems a little bit too on the nose. Besides, the real scandal is they don't actually make things any safer.
The Overseer seeks to erase nudity from art, even as his body scanners create these vulgar portraits.
I dunno, I think they're being too subtle. I think we could use bashing over the head with this idea a little bit more.
They don't save the images. LOL.
Then again, sometimes being completely blunt is the best way to make a point. Maybe this is one of those times.
Howdy, partner. It is me, Cooper. I'm feeling pretty confident since I have gotten you this far. I have a plan to get the girl through the library's security checkpoint. But first, you must proceed to the power station. I will explain there. Look for the power station waypoint in OmniView.
And just when you think you're out, they throw another fetch quest at you. This one's not too bad though, really. First of all, we've got a great shortcut back into investigations.
P0.
Second of all, the amount of actual backtracking involved is completely minimal. I mean, it's really just this one room.
You picked a good place. I should be safe here.
Remember the first time we completely chumped this guy using a locker? That was such a good time the game makes us do it again. I guess, strictly speaking, we didn't have to do it the first time.
Going in for the steal.
Anyway, I clearly remember it so fondly that I totally forgot that we already pickpocketed him.
It's empty.
Anyway, I wonder what we can do in the power station.